And I like how there's a digital transformation happening and how cloud computing, and specifically AWS here, allows us to quickly move things over and really scale it out. And I want to have a look a little bit into the space of overall data analytics. We want to get insights and build insights around our customers, around our business, understand our applications a little bit better. And if you think about data analytics in general, or in data in general, well, it very often starts with a database. And we released a database migration service, as I mentioned earlier, and we had over 69,000 unique databases migrated using this database migration service. And this is not only a migration between on-premise to AWS, it's a migration between database engines, allowing our customers to really enable them to be free around the choice of the database that they want to use, while potentially having an existing database and not needing to have the painful process of migrating that yourself. That comes with an automated schema conversion between the engines. And you know what the best part is? When you use the database migration service, that data replication happens with 0 downtime. How amazing is that? That really allows us to move between engines. And why would we move between database engines? Well, certain engines are designed to just handle scale a lot better. Amazon Aurora, which is our MySQL and PostgreSQL compatible database engine that is really designed for massive scale, massive amounts of data. It's our fastest growing service in AWS ever because it gives our customers so many benefits. And not only is it highly available and durable, but it comes at a tenth of a cost of some of those commercial-grade databases that would offer this. That is true freedom for our customers to say, we can build on a scalable database that doesn't cost us a fortune. And that has led to tens of thousands of customers who said, I want to adopt Amazon Aurora because it helps my business. Companies from all over the world, Entity Docomo, Airbnb, 3M, Netflix, Hulu, but even here in India, Dream11, Iris, PayUbiz, Herald Logic, all these companies are adopting Amazon Aurora as a new database engine that allows them to scale better. And if I talk about scale, what do I mean with that? Scale sometimes sounds like, well, we just keep growing from a small user or database to a larger one. And that's scale, right? Well, actually, most of the time, scaling can be quite unpredictable. The workloads that we're running, especially if they're online somewhere, those database requests can come in very unpredictable manners. And so one of the reasons on why we launched Amazon Aurora Serverless was to accommodate for exactly this. Instead of you needing to provision database instances using the Aurora engine, using our relational database service, you just use Aurora Serverless. We automatically scale it up and down to the capacity that is required for the incoming requests against that database, so that it scales to the amount of volume that you have, but also that you start saving costs when you actually don't need that capacity. And that goes to a point where Aurora Serverless can actually start up and shut down on demand, automatically hibernate when it's not required, and bring your database back online when it's needed. And with our pay-per-second model, that really creates a situation where you truly just pay for what you use when you use it the very moment. And we had that for a long time on the application layer, but with this, you get it at a database layer with a highly scalable and available database. And if we talk about databases, Amazon Aurora, MySQL, PostgreSQL compatible, so it's a relational database. How about the non-relational databases? You might be familiar with Amazon DynamoDB, our highly scalable, available, and durable non-relational database service that can scale to any kind of capacity. A lot of our customers have been very happy with Amazon DynamoDB, but they told us, look, right now, if I want to, back up and restore to a certain point of time in my DynamoDB table, they used to have to write a script around it and maybe push it into S3 or what have you. And so we like to listen to our customers, and we like to build feature functionalities based on where our customers tell us, hey, wouldn't it be great to have this new thing? And so we launched a functionality called Amazon DynamoDB Backup and Restore. which provides that on-demand and continuous backups of your Amazon DynamoDB tables. And that comes from a point-in-time recovery, meaning that you can go back to any point in time or where that table was. And look, I've been a developer for the longest time of my life. And if I'm honest, and if we are honest as developers, we all probably had that moment somewhere where we deployed a piece of code, where we accidentally wrote a functionality that accidentally deleted somewhere really important. And then if we didn't have a backup, oh my God. So this functionality allows us now to say, hey, I don't need to worry. If I make a mistake, I roll back. And I can even take those backups and solidify them and say, they're on the side. I can make my own backup, or I can just say point in time restore at any point in time. But you know what the best part of this is? If you think about a backup and how you restore, traditionally, if you restore, you might need to bring your database down, and then it takes some time to actually load that backup in. Well, with backup and restore on DynamoDB, you can back up hundreds of terabytes of data instantaneously. When you request it, you get that OK back from the API. You have that backup safe and secure without a single performance impact on your production database here. That's really cool. That really enables us to be a lot more comfortable at running at high volume, large scale, and still making sure that we keep our data safe and sound. And talking about data, how about data lakes? I mentioned data analytics. Databases are one component of it, but we also want to create data lakes. And actually, it turns out that Amazon S3, our simple storage service, is the most popular choice for data lakes. That's not a coincidence, because you find that Amazon S3 has an unmatched durability and availability, and of course, scalability. It's built with scale in mind. And when we say that, what does that mean? If you store data in the Amazon S3 service, it is replicated across at least 3 facilities before we acknowledge that right, allowing you for highly available, durable storage. It has some of the best security compliance capabilities than any other cloud providers out there, allowing you to go as granular to any object level controls that you have. And that's fundamentally important for a data lake. You can get insights into your data objects that you have in S3 to a very granular level. And if you think about building a data lake, you got to bring that data in. Some of it might be generated in the cloud, but some of it might live somewhere else on premise, and you need to migrate it in. You find that we have the most ways to bring in data into that data lake in Amazon S3 than any other cloud provider, and twice as many partner integrations to make it really seamless for you to move your data into Amazon S3. And again, we like to listen to our customers. They said, look, love Amazon S3, great for data lakes. I store lots of information in there, but sometimes, let's say you have log files or blob objects to store inside. If you want to perform data analytics, you don't always want the full data of that object. Sometimes you just want a subset. Let's say if it's a log files with time series, and just want to take a subset of that data out. And they said, look, I love Amazon S3, but actually, could you give me functionality to even go deeper into the object and actually query that object? And we said, well, that's a great idea. And so we launched a service called Amazon S3 Select. What S3 Select allows you to do, you can use standard SQL expressions to actually query data within the object that sits in Amazon S3. So not only can you query the objects, you can query the data inside, specifically just subsets of it for your analytics pipeline. And that can sometimes improve that data access performance by up to 400%. Not only are you now faster, you also run cheaper. And obviously, we enabled the same functionality for Amazon Glacier. Call it Amazon Glacier Select. If you're not familiar with Amazon Glacier, it's our archival service. And with this functionality in mind now, if I can run a SQL expression on my archival service, I actually make Amazon Glacier part of my data lake. Because if I need to retrieve something, but just something very specific that has happened a long time ago, now I can just retrieve that subset of that data that has been archived. Fundamentally changing the way you look at building data lakes. And if we talk about data analytics, let's be honest here for a moment. 80% of our time, probably, of what we consider spending time on doing analytics, very often isn't analytics. It's data preparation. You know, it's transforming data, it's loading data, it's moving it around, figuring out how we load all of that up, do some ETL jobs. And then we spend a lot of time doing all of that. And we got a little bit of time left to actually derive value out of that data and get the insights. And why is that so? Because modern data architectures are really complex. You know, we want to have that automated and reliable data ingestions for so many data sources. Everywhere, from your web content, your servers, your IoT devices, your mobile phones, you know, different kind of branches that you might have out there. And then you always want to preserve the original source data. Because if you build a machine learning model today, you make an assumption. You don't want to, in the future, look at it and say, actually, I could have done that model differently, and then you want to train it on your old data, and you realize, oops, I transformed this. Now I can't run that machine learning model. So you always want to preserve that original source data. You want to capture the metadata around that data. You want to catalog it. You want to be able to discover the data, have a self-service around it. You want to prepare it for analytics, transform it, load it, capture data changes. If data changes, how does that feed into your data analytics pipeline? It's complex. And you know, to add to the complexity, the reality is that more often than not, data often sits in silos somewhere. And we need to plug it from these silos, bring it to our data lake. That's a lot of effort. So how can I make that easier? What does a modern data architecture would look like on AWS? Let's start with ingestion. Lots of different ways to actually move your data into your Amazon S3 data lake. Of course, you can upload it. There's an API, there's an SDK. And by the way, if you upload large amounts of data, look at the S3 acceleration. It allows you to upload your data even faster using our edge locations. If you have real-time data that streams in, Kinesis Firehose moves it straight into your data lake. Maybe you run analytics query on top of it before you move it over there. If you have large amounts of volume of data that you want to move from your office, from your on-premise, you can use services like Snowball Edge or Snowmobile to move large amount of data using physical devices or physical trucks, if it's a snowmobile, that will ship or drive to your office, your data center, what have you, and then you can load that data over. Sometimes FedExing data is the most bandwidth that we can get from any internet pipe. If you use DynamoDB, well, there are DynamoDB streams that can stream in our data ingested into our data lake. And of course, the AWS Storage Gateway service that allows us to actually have a hybrid cloud storage, meaning that we have storage on our on-premise and it automatically synchronizes that data into our data lake. And I mentioned we want to preserve the original source data, right? If you have blob objects, great. Amazon S3, fantastic. If you have specific files that need to be POSIX compliant, Elastic File System, EBS, or if you have NoSQL, DynamoDB, or if you have relational source data, move it into RDS. Preserve that source data initially before you continue to move it down your data analytics pipeline. And most importantly, manage and govern your data. Make it secure. Make sure it's kept safe and sound. And we offer you the tools to do so. Services like CloudTrail allow you to have a complete audit trail of what's happening in your entire cloud computing environment, and specifically also on your object level in your Amazon S3 data lake. Services like Config can look at how your entire environment has changed over time with a complete auditability around it. Encrypt your data. We have a key management service that allows you to encrypt your data either way with our keys, or you bring your own keys and you encrypt that data with your own keys. And if you need to be compliant to store your data non-erasable and non-rewritable for a certain period of time, sometimes to be compliant in the financial service industry, for example, if you trade, you have trade option, there's the SEC 14AF compliance standards that you want to comply. Glacier Vault Lock, tick of a button, you're compliant. You have data stored for 7 years or longer if you want, and nobody can change it. And even better, with services like GuardDuty or services like Macy, you can use machine learning services. Macy is a machine learning service that looks at your data, starts classifying that data, identify the different data points, but also looks at the data access patterns and can identify trends. What if suddenly somebody starts to access a lot of data that he's not supposed to do? Well, I can block his access. I can govern my data properly and keep it safe and sound. And the other thing is, I mentioned, you have this raw data that we store, we have the data lakes, and we need to do some transformation. Have a look at AWS Glue, because it can really help you get the most out of your data. You take it from your different source places, which might be your storage services, might be your relational database services, might be your non-relational database services, and AWS Glue provides you with crawlers. Those crawlers go into those different storage databases, crawl that data, capture the metadata, catalog it. And now you can define transformation jobs, scheduled transformation jobs on change on a scheduled basis, where you say, I do an ETL job, I transform it, I move it, I change it a little bit around, I push it into my data analytics pipeline. I load it up into my Amazon Athena service, into my cloud search, I move it to my Elasticsearch service for indexing, or what have you. Glue helps you to do that transformation in a fully managed manner and do it automatically without you worrying about it. And then, of course, lastly, move that into your machine learning models. And so AWS is really the only place where you have really that comprehensive modern data architecture that you can build with all these services. You can use every possible analytics engine. We don't lock you down in a specific one. You pick and choose what you want. You have the full freedom of choice. You want to explore that data? There are lots of services can do that. AWS Glue can do that metadata cataloging for you. And security, by the way, is always job zero. That deep integration of all the services that I just talked about into our security services is so important. If you do data analytics, that must be your #1 priority. Make sure your data is safe and sound. With that integration, we can do that. And that really removes that heavy lifting about actually getting a data analytics pipeline going. And I would argue, if you start to build your applications this way, you can really shift your efforts from saying, spending 80% of my time of preparing the data and then actually analyzing it. Well, now I can really focus on analyzing my data, and I let the other services like AWS Glue and so on prepare my data. And I just need to spend a little bit of time to set it up, and then I can focus on running my analytics. And this has really resulted into the fact that so many customers are building their data analytics pipelines on top of AWS. Many different international customers, Philips, Nextdoor, Lucien, Twilio, Netflix, Realtor, The Guardian, but also here in India, Mumbai, SD, Marathon, My Smart Price, HDFC Life.